Now onto the real thing, which is the bog oak cap, which is going to be inlaid into the swamp ash body, which I've got gluing here. It's very dark. And then the swamp ash is over here. Space is a premium at the moment. So what this means is I'm going to reuse the spoil board, but I'm going to have a third stage, which is basically processing the actual cap. So I'm going to just do my normal sort of inset gaskets and channels and do another version there. So the idea is I'll put the swamp ash here, which I'll then drill out my points for the flip, I think. Then I'll go onto here where it will be directly located in these two and that one. And I'll machine out the pocket for the cap, of which then I'll machine the cap and any undercuts for cable channels and things like that, which will be interesting. And then I'll then take said cap, put it into the body, skim it flat, put in the dowels, I think, for this. Then I can machine the back as normal, as a stage 1, like I did with the original solid version, and then go on to stage 2 again. So it's going to be a bit of toing and froing. I've done it before, which was an interesting piece. So I've kind of got the idea there. So let's put it into practice. It's that time of year where the trousers are out, no more shorts, it's too cold, it's too wet, it's too horrible. I don't like England for this weather, it's awful. But on more exciting things, so the neck is all good, we know the design for the prototype is all good. So I've got the swamp ash, and then over there we go, is the bog oak. So what I now need to do is take them off the sash clamps and G-clamps and then get them skimmed ready. So CNC is all ready. I've gone through my staging again and again just to be sure that I've learnt as much of the process in my head as possible. I've done it before where I've inlaid a cap, but I've changed this process and this should be a lot easier now. But what I'm trying to achieve today, because I need to glue in that cap, is I want to basically skim both of those stocks nice and square. I'm going to cut in the swamp ash the recess and the inside cable routing for the pickups and things like that. And then the bog oak cap, again I'm going to have a little bit of cable management just because it's quite deep, so I'm going to do that as well. And then I'm going to cut the shape, going to cut the shape out of the bog oak, and then hopefully by the end of this little segment they'll be mated, paired up, glued in, looking perfect. That's the goal. I have used a slight offset, obviously, because if it was a tolerance fit, well, I say a tolerance fit, if it was an exact same line, there's going to be tolerance discrepancies, obviously, in the wood moving and everything else. But if I put it in line, it wants to drop down, which is exactly what I want. Now, there's going to be more resistance as I go further down, and it obviously pinches a little bit. So what I'm going to do is, what you do, just take off just the edge, almost like deburring, and this is going to line up with this one. It's important I do a really thin layer of glue. Now this is pretty much all keyed in anyway. Making sure that, because you're going to be able to see this join not only inside the pickup cavities but in the electronics, which is why I've got to do it in this very particular way. So before I go on, I just want to make sure, using my signature Rich Light sample block. And I think now we get the glue out. The cap is now gluing. It's down to the correct depth, because the good thing is where I put the pilots for where the it's going to line up on stage 1, which means that it's going to align with the cap, and then everything's going to then work with it because it's all centered from itself. I was able to check to make sure that the depth of the cap to the recess was correct, so it's one there, one there. But just to be sure it doesn't move, just putting some of these boards across. Doesn't really matter if I pinch up here, because that's all going to be radiused in. So now it's just a matter of waiting. Probably won't be able to do it tomorrow, but the next day I can then just do my normal processes of stage 1, stage 2. But this adds a whole other complexity, but an opportunity, because then it means that I can put in routing on the inside of the body, and I don't have to play about with anything too much. So yeah, it has gone swimmingly. So yeah, all good. So this is coming out really nicely at the moment. Really happy with how it's going so far. So now I've got to flip it. There's some dust in the holes. So using the one hidden in the electronics and the two on the bolt holes. There we go. So we got a nice offset, and obviously in there, I step in the gasket for where the belly contour is. So now, just got to cut this in. Whew. Okay, now the serious part. All done. The channel for this has worked brilliantly. So the cable's got a bit of clearance just for it to triangle from the outers into that center trunk. If we pull this out, oh, that is nicely light. Yeah, that's good. So now it's just going to be lots of sanding. Cool. Nice, good fit. Yeah. Ooh, it'll tilt forward, but look at that. I have got a lot of sanding ahead of me because I've got some new little drill guides, one for the earth, which should drop in so there, and then I've got these which will give me the pilots for where it's gonna screw into, if I get it the right way around, that is. And same with the humbucker, so that's all looking pretty good. So yeah, I need to do a lot of sanding, getting in all of this. Same with these little jigs. Yeah, same with everything really. Need to start cracking on with sanding. And then yeah, so I think really this video is going to be sanding, more sanding, and then I'll cut out the back plates and trim cover for what's needed. But yeah, can't even get it out now. There we go. Yeah, lots of sanding ahead. I've actually had to put this back on the machine and skim this down a little bit, just only because of where the cable underneath the single coils comes under the actual flat work. It lifts it up a little bit and it just didn't give me quite the range I wanted. Just in case the client really wants to back off that pickup, I want to give them the full sort of control on that. So I've just sanded it to 220 using the StewMac stuff, which is probably some of the better lot of it. So what I'm going to do now, which has been previously shown on the neck, is that I just use ordinary water and I just spray it into a cloth, and I'm just going to lift the grain, because if I go to 320, which is more than enough, any further will basically just be sealing off that grain too much, and it won't allow any of the oil to actually penetrate or do its job. So what I'm doing is I've got to 220, I'm going to wet it, and this will allow the grain to lift up and fluff, and you'll feel it in your hands as you sort of, you know, rub it, and it will almost feel like the spines or the splinters are like trying to pick at your finger, and then you sand that away, because if I was to oil this, the same thing would probably so if I go to oil this, the same thing would happen, except when you're trying to sand oiled wood, it's a bit of a pain. So water basically also highlights any areas that you know, if I've got any scratches that I need to go back into a lower grit, then I can. It gives me the opportunity to see it before I put on any oil. This is going really, really nicely. And what's really cool, you can see where the grain, where the cap split line is, and you know, in everywhere, in all of the pickup cavities and such. So yeah, I'm just gonna use a bit of water. Don't need much, literally just wetting that top surface. Kind of gives an indication of what the cap is going to look like as well. And immediately I can feel it lift, so I'll just crack on with that. So I've let's clean the lens. Clean the lens. There we go. So this is now, grain has lifted from when I wetted it, and the cavity is shielded with the earth obviously already in there. So I use these sort of sacrificial pieces that fill in any recesses, because obviously any sanding process, because I want to try and get this all nice and sanded to about 240, 320-ish. I don't want the sander to drop in and then it rolls any edges and it just looks absolutely rubbish. So these are okay, so it's not large enough for it to drop into. And then I've got my other ones for the pickups, and I've printed as well that, just so then when I go over, I'm not going to drop into that, because that will make it look rubbish. But yeah, the grain has been lifted, which is nice, what we wanted. Yeah, I'm going to do a final sand around the edges and top back, and then we can get oiling. I can then update the customer, and then I think that's really for this video all wrapped up, because I don't think I can go much further. And I want to try and get 4 parts, which requires me to do the assembly and then electronics, final setup, and then I'll put in, I think I'm going to record how I photograph the guitars, because I think it's always a bit of an illusion for photography, and I think this one being what it is with the inlaid cap, I think it will look pretty special. So sanding, I've kind of got my bobbin sander all set up, leading to there on the other outlet. Fill the holes, and sandy, oily. Cool. So now I've just got to do the easiest thing, and that's wait for the oil to fully dry, and then I can check it to make sure there's no like scratches that I've not seen, which no one really wants to see, so I'll do that in my own time. But it is there. This is looking very nice. I don't want to show off too much of it, but yeah, that, ooh, come on camera. Inlaid fretboard with an inlaid cap. It is looking really nice. And I think when I start to put all the hardware on with the chrome bits and the blacked out bits, I think it's going to look pretty special. I'm really happy with it. I hope the client's going to be really happy with it. So the next video is going to be assembly, and yeah, going from there. So it's been a year of doing the YouTubes. So the next video I'm going to make is a roundup of things that I've learnt, the good, the bad, and things that if you want to do something like this, maybe you can learn from it. But reflection on my experience, basically. So without further ado, thank you for watching, and goodbye.